Hi, everybody, and welcome to our architecture unit. In one of our grades, we've been studying about architecture, quite a few different works we've looked at. We've looked at the work of Zaha Hadid, an Iranian architect who really had an amazing knack for, she was called the Queen of Curves, so she loved to use a lot of organic shapes derived from nature. So we looked at the work of Zaha Hadid. We compared and contrast against the work of good old Frank Lloyd Wright from Wisconsin. This is one of, I love this book. It's very tells about his life growing up, how he was really bored with the architecture of the Midwest. Surprise, surprise. And it gives kind of an overview of how he kind of rose to fame within the Prairie School in the 1920s and 30s. Now, also in class, because we love architecture, we started to look a little bit at a few different, the Italian, you might have heard of him, Michelangelo. We looked at St. Peter's Basilica. We look at Gaudi's, sorry, the light, I'll try to adjust it right here. Antonio Gaudi, we looked at Sagrada Familia Church. We looked at Ustad Ahmed Lahori, who designed the Taj Mahal in India. We all looked at Marion Mahoney Griffin, who is also part of the Prairie School, a frenemy of Frank Lloyd Wright. We looked at Le Corbusier from France and some of his architecture. I.M. Pei, Chinese American, who designed the very front of the Louvre. So you enter in the pyramid and you go down to get your billet or your ticket. And then we also looked a little bit at Moshe Safdie from Israel. Some of his work, very revolutionary architecture. Frank Gehry. This is the Weizmann Art Museum, which is in the University of Minnesota campus, Minneapolis, and University of Minnesota, Minneapolis campus, right on the river. And then again, Zaha Hadid from Iran. So we looked and compared and contrasted. And what students did, we took kind of an underutilized material, just regular old newspaper. And here's what we did. I had students looking through newspapers. Yes, I actually bought newspapers for this. And they did a little bit of designing beforehand. So it looked like this. So students, I'll cover up the student's name. Students did 2 sketches, and they had to kind of figure out what they wanted to do, incorporating both patterns of geometric, rigid kinds of lines and shapes, and then organic lines and shapes in their work. So they did sketches here. Some kids chose to even do sketches on the back too. It was totally up to them. But with sketches, we're not just one and done. And then they started to cut out the shapes. Now, with that in mind, they started to then lay down those shapes, again, just using black and white. That was the part that we really tried to emphasize. I'm just going to put another trapezoid there. Okay, now after we had students cut out all of those shapes, we got to work on glue. Now, regular glue, open it up, pick the nose. We were really good at picking the nose. And then we just talk about dot, dot, not a lot. And then we started to glue those down, okay, and lay them flat. And again, we start to talk about the difference between 2D and 3D, okay, with our names on the back. And then the last step, which was definitely kids' favorite step today as we started to get towards it, but we are starting to use what's called washi tape. Now, washi tape is it's kind of started in Japan. It's basically paper tape. And this kind of tape is really great for doing kind of the outlining of the buildings. So that's what you see what I have going on here. This one was inspired by Zaha Hadid. So we're using the washi tape to do the outline of the building, and then emphasize the details. So things like windows, things like doors, spires, things that are flag posts that might come off the building. And so kids can use a variety of different washi tape colors to add embellishments and details. So thanks so much for joining us and learning about our architectural collage inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright and Zaha Hadid. See you soon.